All right, welcome back, everyone. We hope that you enjoyed the first hour of our program and thought it was as illuminating as I did. I always learn something when listening to Josh. And so now what we'd like to do is we'd like to transition and talk a little bit about how hosting an Endow study group for your teens can be really beneficial, not just against gender confusion, but against all of the pressures that they're confronting. And we're going to talk a little bit about why that is the case and why we feel so strongly that this could be a really beneficial solution to many young women. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to our Director of Content, Laura Zambrana, who's going to lead us through the second hour of our program. Laura?
Thank you, Annette. All right, everybody. I was already on fire this morning for Endow, but after that last hour and all the good questions everybody asked, I'm really excited to get to dive into the second hour with you guys. So we wanted to make this as practical as possible. So when I was preparing for this second hour, I wanted to first talk about what the Endow mindset is. And by that, I mean, it's not, when we talk about the Endow proposal, I think a lot of people can hear about Endow and love the idea of it. But I want to get really concrete about exactly like what it means to be like in the Endow mindset. That'll be the first part. And the second thing I want to talk about is, first I talk about the proposal itself, then the mindset, and then lastly, like how do you actually get this actually happening? I saw in the chat that people were asking, okay, so how do I love the practicality. What was the question? What is the shortest time frame? So that's what I think we really feel the urgency with our young girls. How do we actually make this happen in their practical lives? So that's what we're going to talk about. So the first thing I wanted to discuss is to realize and own whatever girls you're thinking about in your mind, whether it's your daughters, the daughters of your friends. You have a major role as their mother, and it's not just because they're teenagers and they're busy, like you still have an authority. So to really pray into and own that authority. That's the first thing I want to get across. The second thing is that a beautiful thing that Endow does is it adds another voice into all the voices that your daughters are hearing. So like the social media conversation that Josh mentioned. I mean, and all of us women, men too, we hear so many voices at us all the time. And part of our role as parents, our role as women is to help people to understand all these voices. I have 3 daughters, only one that is very verbal so far. And the amount of times that she asked me to help her process her life already is amazing to me. So to realize that even just how do I make sense of my friends are saying this, my teacher's saying that Endow allows for an objective, like a third, I have the middle school studies here. Endow allows for like another voice to be added into the discussion. So it's not just social media, not just what the priest says, not just what they say at mass, not just what your teacher says or mom and dad say, but you're immersing your daughters into a whole community of thought that spans the last 2,000 plus years. So you're not forcing somebody to like, you must believe these 10 things or else. You're saying how interesting that these 10 things are, called the 10 commandments. Let's learn about this together. That posture of being curious and learning together is something that's very unique and special about Endow. That, this is not a test, this is not being memorized. The other thing that I love about Endow is the read aloud method. So you, as the facilitator, as the mom, as the busy person, you don't have to have the girls read something. And then, as everybody knows, when nobody does the reading, you get to class and it's the worst class ever. For an Endow group, you're actually reading out loud in that time together. So you're having an incarnational, embodied experience of hearing these words proclaimed. And anyone who's done our Letter to Women study, and this still moves me every time, when you hear John Paul II say, thank you, women who are mothers, thank you, women who are daughters, thank you, women who are sisters, and you pause and hear him say those words, and even better, you're actually hearing your sisters, in your Endow group proclaim those words of truth. It really, it changes your experience of the faith. And so that's like the other thing, is the read aloud method. It postulates things in a way that women are really able, that the girls are really able to act. You're not teaching down to them, you're inviting them into this discovery of what it means to be a woman. One of Endow's like major, one of the gifts, I guess, of being an Endow facilitator is it is like almost a Socratic method idea, that you really are guiding somebody along the truth. You don't need to know everything about the faith. That's one of the biggest things. People get so nervous about knowing everything. You really are on the journey with others. And so when you think about the middle school age kids, we think about the teenagers, like I have questions still, like, what is this complementarity? Like, how do I support and be kind to my husband when it's hard? Like, that is still a hard thing. Even I can tell you what the catechism says, but the actual practicality, living it out, needs to be done in community. So the Socratic method of guiding people along, you don't have to be the expert, but just one step ahead on the journey. So the proposal, this is something I feel so strongly about this, and this is in the handout that we shared in the chat box, and you'll get later too. The truth will set you free. And that, I think, was like the most powerful part there's like many, kind of like all these notes, Josh, from hour one. I wasn't anticipating taking notes, but I was like going. The truth will set you free. John 8:32, that actually knowing the truth about your body, about your gender, about the faith, about what does the church teach about sex, about what does the church teach about vocation, like the truth will set you free. And our young women deserve to know the truth. And so that, I feel like, is the Endow proposal, is like, trust the women with the truth. You guys saw that video at the beginning where Marilyn went to the conference and she was shocked. She was like, how do people not know this? Like, how have we not talked about John Paul II? And when you think about in your journey, when did you come across John Paul II? When did you come across the feminine genius? I'm going to say like 90% probably are past high school age when that came across, and that's, that needs to be remedied. So the second part of the Endow proposal is that we create space for discussion. So part of the very nature of what it is to be a woman is to have space for the other, where we actually allow another to become, we allow others potential to become. So we think it's so important that adult women say yes to leading these groups, just to create the space. Not all the answers, not the most greatest, fabulous ever 2 hours of these girls' lives, but just creating the space and the permission to have these conversations. And the last thing, and I feel really strongly about this too, is learning to ask good questions. So because we don't have frameworks in our current insane social media world, and how many kids get through high school with like the word philosophy is not a thing, and then they take philosophy in college, and I tutored philosophy when I was in college or when I was in graduate school, and philosophy 101 is not helpful. It is not, you're not learning any, it is, I was kind of horrified. So we don't have good philosophy, and like, again, our girls as young as like 5, they need to learn how to ask good questions. And like, that's an important like thing to actually teach somebody, is, again, you don't need to have all the answers, but how do you ask the right questions? So that's very important to me as well. Okay, so that's the Endow proposal. Second part, the Endow mindset. And then after we get to the mindset, we're going to get to the obstacles. So my obstacle answers, get ready. So the Endow mindset. So something I've realized the last 5 years in Endow, and I've been a host for years before that, is there's a really important thing just in our, going back to community and belonging. You really want to fully immerse yourself in this community. Again, Endow, it is an unusual thing. Like, I love Simone's, like, I love when you laugh in the video about like, I don't know anybody who's calling women together. Like, I love that part so much, but it's true. Like, like it's so nerdy, to actually read church documents, but it's so incredibly important. And so one of the things that I love about what we've done the last few years at Endow is the podcast. The podcast is a way to immerse yourself into the Endow mindset. What does it mean to be a woman? All the people that someone has interviewed over the years. She's interviewed people about church documents, about their personal vocations. The Endow podcast is a very helpful way to immerse yourself into the Endow mindset, that these things matter and they're worth talking about. And it is going to be hard, but it is going to be worth it. And you're not alone. The other thing is that we have the leadership guide. So that's a really helpful resource. And we have a code for you all where it's just the shipping. But the leadership guide really helps also train and teach you about what it means to be what it means to have hospitality for the other. And then we're leading a monthly series on Mulieris Dignitatem, and the next one is June 15th. You can mark your calendar for that. So that is where Simone and I are working through Mulieris Dignitatem. So if you want to know, like, what are the adult studies like? What is it like to be in an Endow group? That's a really fun, if I do say so myself, really fun way and very authentic way to dive into what is the Endow mindset? What is it like to be in an Endow group? What are Laura and Simone like on June 15th? You can come and find out. And then lastly, we have a bunch of videos that we've made on training you how to lead a group and then how to start a group. So those are all listed in the handout as well. Okay, so with all of that, I would like to ask Annette and Jeanette some obstacles that I have heard women ask when we start to kind of move towards getting a group started. So one of the questions that we get asked is that my kids would never be interested in an Endow group and their mom being involved in an Endow group. So with that, Annette and Jeanette, if you guys want to unmute yourselves, how would we answer that?
Well, and I'll go first because I actually did this with my daughter. I invited her to pilot the high school studies when we were first putting the high school studies together. This was one of my first projects when I first joined Endow. And so I wanted to kind of get some live feedback while we were developing the studies. And so I just told her that I would like her and a group of young ladies to pilot this with me. And honestly, she was not very enthusiastic. And the way that I convinced her was she has all these things that she always wants me to do for her. And so, for example, I can just list she wants to, borrow the car to go to a friend's house, or she wants to go to a concert at Red Rocks, or she wants me to take her to the mall to buy new summer clothes, or she wants to, attend she wants to go to a sleepover with some of her girlfriends. So all of these things are always in the conversation about things that she would like, or she wants me to take her places. Will I take her and all her friends to the amusement park this summer? Will I take them to the pool? And so I think in incentivizing her to participate in this, I kind of used a little bit of what she was looking for me to do for her. And I said, well, I'll do this with you if you pilot this for me, and kind of reiterated how important it was, although that wasn't a real driver. I also told her that I'd buy all the girls a Starbucks, which was definitely influential. And then I got snacks, and I convinced them all to participate kind of begrudgingly. And the interesting thing that happened was, after I roped them into one session and they participated in the first chapter, then 3 or 4 of the girls said, well, when are we going to do chapter 2? Like, I want to keep going with this study. Mm-hmm. The experience of doing an Endow high school study group or youth study group is really, time and time again, we find it to be something that the girls really respond to, because the studies were written from the standpoint of not trying to, teach them the faith. Here are the 7 sacraments. Here are these prayers that you need to learn. Here are these doctrines that you need to know. The the way the high school studies were written is from the standpoint of the questions that young girls have, like, where does my value as a young woman come from? Is it how many likes I have on Instagram, or how many followers I have on social media? Is it the clothes that I wear? Is it the boy that I'm dating? Or is it something else? Where does my value as a person come from? What is freedom? What does it mean to be free and to have free will? What is authentic love? These are the questions that the Endow study guides address. And these are the questions that young girls have, that they're wrestling with, that they're struggling with. So just to even start these conversations, and the interesting thing is, as a facilitator, you pose the question, but you don't need to have the answer.
Right.
And they start talking with each other about, how they feel, and they find their way to the truth on their own. So if you can incentivize them in some way to participate in one or two groups, then all of a sudden, this is something they want to do. It's something they want to be a part of. It's something that they look forward to, and they'll ask you for. So overcoming that initial resistance can be really, really beneficial.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you, Annette. The other obstacle that we've heard, Mrs. Virgineth, is where do you find, so if you have a daughter who you would like to teach these things about, or you would like to have a group, where do you find other girls for your group? Any ideas on that?
Yeah, I would say first and foremost, is it family, friends, or are you being called to host something at a parish? And of course, is speaking to the pastor, seeing where are these young women? Maybe the women already in the youth group could use some of this formation. So it's like a personal calling for you. Is the Lord calling you to host something with your neighbor's daughters? Or is he asking you to get your daughter involved? And of course, sometimes the daughter is not going to want to be in a group where the mom is the host. So then I would put on, my mom hat and just reach out to this young adult that I know and say, hey, could you lead this group for a couple weeks and invite the young women, like Annette said, offer a couple things that you will do for her if she joins. I also had a unique experience, a beautiful experience that I hosted a couple pilot groups of Hispanic girls preparing for the quinceañeras, 35 of them in each group. So as soon as I met them, I thought, I got to get their attention. How am I going to get their attention? So first I brought them this beautiful binder that they were going to use for the whole 10 weeks. I brought them a beautiful sticker of Our Lady of Guadalupe, and already I had their attention. But most importantly, I introduced myself, and my motive being there was, first and foremost, I care about you. I care about your soul. I care about your spiritual life. I was once like you, 14 years old, preparing for my quinceañera, but unlike you, I did not receive formation that you will be receiving now. So that is one of my main motives, that I wish I could have had that at that age. And I tell them, out of the 35 young women in the group that were there, only one of them was in a private Catholic school, and the rest were not. So I said, pay attention. This is not going to be time wasted. What you hear today and for the next 10 weeks, you probably don't hear on a daily basis. You don't hear about your dignity. You don't hear about your gifts. You don't hear what you are created for. And immediately I was just amazed by the way opened their eyes and just received the truth and participated, even though most of the time I called them out, but since I had shared with them that I cared, they respected that.
Oh, I love that. Jenna, thank you so much for sharing your experience with the quinceañeras and the experience of being that. I love that how you led with beauty, like the beautiful binder, the beautiful stickers, the hospitality, and then you also led with authenticity, that like I was once where you are. And I think like that, that being, and this is true for leading an Endow group for adults as well, like that authenticity is really all you need. You don't need to be somebody else. You need just to be you. So thank you for sharing with that with us.
Can I say something real quick, Laura? The author of our high school studies, Teresa Hodgins, pitched the idea to write those studies because she wished she had them when she was in high school. And she came from a good Catholic family, well educated, which is not always the case, right? But even then, still not enough. So we need, like you said, Laura, a lot of different voices from a lot of different areas, continuing to ingrain that message of dignity.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to share my screen and show you guys our like very practical getting things rolling in your group. So are you seeing my screen now? I hope. Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So you'll have access to this. I hyperlinked everything because I'm the director of content. I'm all about the content. So again, our proposal, truth will set you free. The mindset, all of these things are linked here. This is the code for getting the free, you go order the free guide and then it's just shipping. And then the videos are also very helpful. I love this from Amanda last week. She said, if you're on the fence about starting a group, just do it. There's no better time. So I love that enthusiasm. And I think I have seen that for myself as well, that it's very hard to get a group rolling, but why not? The time is going to go by anyways. Like, why not just say yes to it? So, okay. So this is the little section for how to actually get it rolling. So inviting, scheduling, organizing. So first you're going to think about your dates. This is something that, let me share my other screen with you guys. This is something that I created for myself and I thought I would share it with you all. So this is for how to plan like the very nitty gritty on the calendar. So when you want to think about your Endow group dates for your daughters, the middle school guides are organized in 4 chapters. And then the high school guides are 6 chapters. We at Endow are not militaristic. We do not require you must go through every single page or else we did not do it. So please, as you're looking at the materials and thinking with us, ask questions in the chat too, definitely try to think like out of the box in terms of if you only have one day, you could do a day retreat in which you read parts of the chapters, you break out and do fun activities and then go back. You could do a day thing, you could do 4, and then I have these couple things here. For the semester session, you could start on June 3rd, and then in 8 weeks be done July 22nd. So this is just me playing with Google Docs and sharing my love for all things calendar related with you all. So this gives you an example of what you could do for a 6-week study over here, that you could have a fun welcome meeting and then wrap up the next week and go through like that. I've heard groups doing pool parties as well. Like they meet for 4 Saturdays, they do an hour of content and then a pool party. So we have 4 chapters. We have 3 books for the middle school studies, 1, 2, and 3, and they're each 4 chapters. I've read them all in the last 2 weeks. They are really fun. I wish my daughter was a little older so I could do them with her, but they're just a lot of rich content to offer your daughter and her friends. So again, you could do it in 4 weeks or you could do it in 6 weeks. With my adult groups, which is over here, it's the adult study tab. With the adult studies, like I typically know that I like about 10 weeks on people's calendars. And you don't have to use all the weeks, but it's just nice to kind of have people's framework there. And then I also made this tab for when you build out your group, when you need to keep track of who did I talk to or not, because it gets a little wild at some point when you're inviting people and who's coming, who's not coming. So that is for your use. Okay, so that is the very nitty gritty. thing that I made for you all. Then we have email templates as well, and I included that is hyperlinked here. We'll take a look at the study guide pages in a moment, and then where to start. So like a lot of people ask me, oh, my daughter is this age, should I do, so the middle school studies are, in my opinion, middle school. Like they really do feel middle school. They feel fun and activities and let's cut and paste things. And the high school ones are more geared towards let's have a discussion. There's discussions in both, there's activities in both, but the middle school ones feel a little bit more youthful. So I would recommend on feeling, you can ask Simone and I more questions if you would like as well, just to kind of figure out where to land. And then second thing is the high school books and the middle school books, you can see the list of what's covered in each of them on our website, and that's listed right here. But they don't like build per se. Like if you wanted to grab your senior in high school, talk about mission, our fourth book in high school is called Created for Mission, and it's all about vocation and mission and what are you doing and where are you going, what's happening. I love the fourth book. I personally love the fourth book a lot. So you could grab that one. So again, review our materials and kind of see what topics you want to cover. And then, and again, this is the like whoever hits the road part. So I think it's very important when you actually right now are thinking, you can print this off, write this down, but like, what is your vision for the group? Are you imagining the pool party idea? Are you imagining what Jeanette was saying about asking somebody else to lead the group? So you're like kind of doing the behind the scenes co-hosting. What Annette said about hosting, Annette ended up inviting girls from her Endow, daughters of her Endow group members. So that's another beautiful idea, is to have the moms, the moms kind of coordinate this. So what is your vision? I think it's really important to start there, and that'll kind of help guide the rest of it. And then thinking through the support people, like who's going to be involved and who the other adults helping. I love the idea of getting dads and parish priests involved. Again, depending on your parish and what the priests are like. And then what girls, what do you want to invite? Like who was on your mind? Are you thinking about your granddaughters and their friends? Maybe you're the grandma and you can offer your pool, but then your daughter can run it. Again, this is like where apostolic creativity comes in, like be as creative as you can possibly be. And then who was on your heart to invite for the girls? And then the dates. It's important that it works best for you if you're leading. So like don't send the text out like what works, like what, generally you would actually kind of offer to your friends and to their daughters, like what are the top three. So this really helps me get my groups off and running, is when I think through my life, what actually will make my life still function. And then that way people can opt in or opt out. And then where. So we get this question a lot, is does the Endow group have to be at a parish or can be at someone's house? And the Endow group can be either. So you can use your parish, you can use your home, you can use a park, you can use the community center, coffee shop. I hosted one here at my co-working space a couple years ago. Again, as creative as you would like to be, but helpful to think through in terms of actually reserving the space. All right, this is my magical little text for you guys. This is as corny as you can want it to be or not be, depending on your personality, but this is kind of what I would have written if I was inviting girls. Let women know that they can look up our materials on the website. They're free downloads for chapter 1. And get a sense of kind of what's going on. And then once you decide the actual date and time, make sure that the orders are placed at least 1 week before the first meeting. Again, if they don't have it the first meeting, you can still meet, like it'll be okay. But like, it's just good to kind of, have that 1 week lead time. And I'd say 1 week is like the least amount of time. 2 weeks is better. And then these are my tips for the first meeting. Icebreakers are crucial. It also goes for adult groups. You don't have to call them icebreakers because adults will be like, what is this? But I mean, just little things that you can ask, like you can ask questions like Jeanette was saying about actually getting to know people and getting them to know you. So something on that level, the personal witness, and then sharing your vision for the group. Like, hey ladies, I really wanted to all get together and actually hear where you're questions are all year long. You're in school and you're busy, but this is a summer that we can actually pause and like talk through things. What's coming up for you? It is Pride Month. How's that going? You know, just really like bringing up like relevant things and leveling with people. The next thing is having enough social time for the first meeting, especially. It's just natural that it's going to be a little more social, so you want to kind of plan on that. And then the other big thing is the ending on time portion. You don't have to be, again, like super intense about this, but it does help everybody buy into it when they know when it's going to end. So it's not just like this nebulous and running thing. The second to last thing is continuing your own formation. So as you're leading a group, like you need to be filled up as well. Like Josh was saying, like we all need to belong somewhere. So you need friends to discuss things with, like, how do I get my teenage daughter to still go to mass? Like, how did you handle that? Like to actually have community. And I'm amazed and edified by how constantly in our lives as women, we need community, and it's different. You know, like my oldest being 7 is different than when he was 2. Like it's a different thing. How I talk, how I see myself, how the questions I ask, they're different now. And so to surround yourself with good community. So the sacraments, frequent reception of the sacraments is only going to help you be a better host and facilitator. So the sacraments are crucial in terms of you knowing your own dignity of worth, you forgiving yourself so that you can forgive others. The personal prayer is the second thing, like the actual, like, are you taking time every day to actually spend time with Jesus? Not just talk about Jesus, but actually know Jesus and let him know you, and let you know his heart. Like that, the prayer portion is like a small little bullet here, my huge list of things, but it is the everything. It is the lifeblood, and we have tons of resources on our website, tons of podcasts about prayer. I have been very edified by the Remo workshop that we gave a couple years ago about how to hear God's voice, and he's always speaking to us. So the prayer thing is very important to us at Endow. And the last part is education. Sure, you don't need to have all the answers, but you should know kind of sort of where to find them. So if you're, it's important that, it's very important that we actually like know and learn to articulate our faith. So everybody comes to Endow at a different point of their journey. So you don't have to be able to spit out the Apostles' Creed right now, but like you should know where to find that, or you should kind of know where it came from, or what, you should start. So wherever you're at on your education journey, like hop on that journey and like keep going and keep learning. And you're going to be modeling that for your daughters and for your friends, that there's more to know, and not just be satisfied with like, oh, I just believe, isn't that enough? It's like, no, that's not enough. The truth will set you free. It's an ongoing journey. So the ongoing journey is also very important to us. And then please stay in touch with us as you get groups started, and just let us know how it's going. Chastity answers these emails, so definitely, email as much as possible, info, and let her know how you guys are doing, what's going on. Pictures, questions, etc. And then please come to our host events if you would like to. You can always host a local event as well. So this is the little worksheet that I put together that I wanted to kind of explain like how to actually get a group rolling. Okay, and then the one last thing I'm going to share with you all, and then we'll get time for more questions, is I want to show you what we were blessed to get to put together in the last couple of years. So my screen is sharing. All right, so this is what the planning pages look like on our website. And they're like absolutely magical, and they're a little hard to find. So I'm going to show you where to find them. So there's the Endow logo. There's the homepage. You click that homepage. Scroll over here, studies, adult studies, youth studies, Spanish studies, more great things. So we're going to focus on the youth studies right now. So every study guide that we sell has a whole planning page for you. So the planning page tells you kind of what's inside, how to navigate the study. So it tells you, again, read aloud, gives you the table of contents. It gives you an example to every session. This is our favorite part because we love learning at Endow. More things to know and research, but it's really, this is like very, very robust. So you can see it keeps going. So I just wanted to share these pages with you. We have an advertising flyer. So when you're telling women, please join, think about your daughter joining my group, share with them the Endow commercial, share with them like our logo, feel free to use these things to help promote your group. And then, yeah, so that kind of explains the Endow. Yeah, and here's some creative ways that we've seen these used as well. So each study, each of the studies has one of these as well. And then here's where you get the chapter 1 for free. All right, so that kind of covers what I wanted to be sure that we shared with you. I haven't been able to see the chat while I've been sharing. So let's turn to the chat. Simone, you've moved into the evening session.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we've been answering the chat as they've been
Okay,
coming, so I
great.
would just ask for new questions.
Great, wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, so do we have new questions as we?
While people are thinking of their questions, I just want to share, since Laura shared that her favorite study was Mission. This is my favorite of the high school studies. It's created for community, and it's all focused on relationships. So it starts with the parental relationship, how the young woman relates to her parents, family relationships, then talks about friendship, what is authentic friendship, what makes a good friend, and then it moves into romantic relationships, what makes a good boyfriend, what's the difference between love and lust, what should I look for if I'm considering dating. And honestly, for teens, even for preteens, I think the relationships that they have in their lives are one of the most important things and one of the most anxiety provoking things, whether it's relationships with their friends, whether it's relationships with, in the family, or even romantic relationships. So that study guide hits head on what's in every young girl's mind. So I highly recommend that one.
And that one brings into the 5 love languages and like how that all connects with things. And again, like the idea is, let us educate these girls. Like, let's actually teach them the tools they need to go out into the world and live out their vocation. Not just, again, in the, yeah. So and the community thing, like you're saying, community is where you learn and find yourself, and I was really lucky to get to go to a traditional Catholic college. And I mean, it's amazing to me to see what those relationships that I built at age 17, 18, like how much they form me now, and like without that idea of community, how important that is. Okay, so the question from Jessica, well, let's see, there's like a bunch of questions. Okay, do you suggest the mom to facilitate or try and get a young adult that is not related to any of the girls? I can see that going either way. I think that there are benefits to both. And I think that this gets a bit to the particularity that Josh was mentioning in the first hour, that knowing, I think it can be wonderful to have the mom facilitate. I think Annette had a beautiful idea that maybe you facilitate for part of it and then you leave at some point and go get the lemonade ready while they keep discussing. Just you really want to empower them to have, to have good conversation. So I think that that's a really smart idea. And I think that it can be great. Like, why not have, if you have a young adult in mind, like, why not have them co-host like a meeting or two? I think it's so shocking when you're a teenager to see other young adult, like a young adult, like someone in college practicing their faith. You're like, what? Like, this is a thing. It just really blows your mind that it's not just your parents. I did not grow up in a more traditional like parish at all. So the idea that people practice their faith after high school was very shocking to me, which is sad, but true. So I think if you have a young adult in mind, like I would absolutely invite them. And that can also be an idea for inviting. You can also invite, your parish priest to make a guest appearance, or invite one of the dads. I don't know. Again, a guest appearance idea might be a neat way to model that there's ways of practicing your faith beyond what you see in front of you. All right, Jessica asks, is there a recommended study to start with, like there is with the adult ones? I think, the Created for Love, the high school book 1 is called Created for Love. That was the green cover that I shared with you. That's a beautiful study to start with. So you're not gonna, and as the mom reading it, and as the content director reading these, I was very, very much edified by each of them. I wasn't reading them like, oh, this is for a 14-year-old, I don't care. On the contrary, I was very moved by the questions, very moved by the content. So Created for Love is a great place to start, but feel free to look through each of those planning pages for what's covered in each one and see if one of them sticks out to you. Okay, And then I think I got lost. Let's see. There we go. Church bulletin, you got that covered. So Jessica, we answered your question. Does each high school study consist of 6 chapters? Yes, they're each 6 chapters. And that was done intentionally to make them shorter than the adult ones, but more robust than the middle school ones. So they are each 6 chapters. I'm not a stickler for like 1 chapter, 1 week, but I have seen in my experience with Endow that we all like to accomplish things. So if you're in chapter 1 for 4 weeks, it gets a little bit sloggy. So you want to like actually make progress. So you as the facilitator can decide, you know what? We've done enough of chapter 1. We're now going to go to chapter 2 and just move forward. Like, don't feel like, oh my gosh, I miss a page. Now I've lost the whole study. Like, you can pick and choose. That is okay. So that I have seen that work very well, again, for keeping the morale of the group going. Sticking chapter 1 for 4 weeks is not going to feel successful. So that's just a insider facilitator tip.
And make sure to add 1 more week to celebrate the completion of the study guide. There's so many creative ideas where you can go with that.
Yes, I love doing that. And that's why I like having the 1 extra when you're saying your sessions. 1 extra is very helpful as a facilitator, because then you don't feel rushed. And then also you get to celebrate. I like to assign my members 1 chapter each. And then and then we do like a highlight reel. We're like, all right, Jeanette, you chapter 1, what was your favorite part of that? Like, what favorite quote or whatever. And it kind of, again, it's a nice ending to the group. You don't have to assign people things, but that's what I do. Okay, so then what is the age range of middle school studies? They're meant for 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. So whatever age a 6th grader is, which is probably 12, I believe. Do you think you could start the first high school study with the 8th graders? I think so. I mean, you can look at chapter 1 and see what the reading level looks like to you and like if they'll be able to find with it. But the topics covered are very relevant. You can kind of make it a cool, like, okay, you're ready for high school kind of thing too, you know. So that, I mean, you're not gonna, depending on your dog, I don't think that's gonna be a problem. Can these be teen-led? That's such a wonderful idea. I think teen-led, we did that in at my high school. The seniors would lead retreats and stuff for the younger students. I think that there's a great value to that. Again, it helps the senior, you know, have more confidence in sharing their faith. There's also a detriment that like they may not be well formed and have no idea what they're doing. So I think as long as you train them on how to lead, to say like, if you don't know the answer, to say, I don't know the answer, you know, just the basic small group leadership training type things. I think that it could be great. I wouldn't just like throw it at a teenager and walk away, but I would definitely guide them in that. And I think that'd be so powerful and beautiful and a great, beautiful bonding experience for the teen. So I haven't heard that yet. And that's a beautiful idea. I want to know how it goes. So let me know. And then are there facilitator videos for the teen studies? No. So there's not a specific teen study video, but the basic principles, like Simone said, the principles and method are the same. So you're reading out loud. You're allowing, one of my big stickler points is that you wait for everybody to speak once before somebody speaks twice. So that helps your more introverted girls have time to process and think and share. And then it tells your more extroverted people that it's okay. They don't have to fill the quiet. And then what could be a good study for young adults, 8 to 19 years old? Thank you, Chastity. Absolutely. Letter to Women, 100%. Letter to Women is a letter that was written to all women. So it's not just to Catholics. And so it is, I mean, it is to Catholics, but it's not just to Catholics. So it reads very, I love John Paul II. He says, like, let us consider these issues like together. I want to think about this with you. And the with you mentality is so Endow. And like, I hope that we, in all of our things, embody like his spirit in that we are with you. Like, this is a with thing, not a, like, here's the doctrine, accept and move on. So the with you thing is great. The high school series, again, I enjoy, I wouldn't mind leading that with a young adult. They're very robust studies. They're not dumbed down at all. Like all of our Endow things. This is not like, and God loves you, draw a picture of hearts, you know. This is not like that. This is very much like talking about the martyrs, talking about the saints, diving into philosophy, personalism, jump to the second, the body, the person. I mean, like these are robust studies. So the high school series is not going to be like you're not gonna, an 18-year-old's not gonna read that and be like, oh, this is childish. Not at all. A teen with an adult mentor accompanying them outside the meeting time would be beautiful. Yes, I agree, Joanne. Thank you. All right, other questions? It was a joy to get to share kind of the rubber hits the road part with you all. I'm very edified and delighted to see more of these groups spring up this summer.
I think we have maybe time for 1 or 2 questions, and Josh is still here, so we can also direct a question or 2 to him in these last few minutes. Zoom user, so excited. We are so excited for you.
We are so excited too. And while you're thinking, if you have any other questions, I haven't even shared this with the team, but I wanted to surprise you all with a special offer. If you decide, and this is to encourage you, I know it does take a lot of, it takes a little bit of courage to tap into our feminine genius and our spiritual motherhood and to extend ourselves towards the young people in our life in this way. So we do want to offer you a 20% discount on any studies that you purchase, and this will only be to attendees of the Zoom. Although if you registered, we will share it in the chat. The discount code will be summer 2023, because we do think summer is the perfect time. Hopefully the young people have a little bit more room in their schedule. They have a little bit more free time. So it's the perfect time to grab one of those hours, 1 hour a week or 1.5 hours a week, and just immerse them in something that's really going to improve the quality of their life. Especially when they leave home and they're not a part of your, when they're out in the real world. So we want to offer 20% for anyone who purchases either one of the youth study guides or the high school study guides. And the discount code will be summer 2023. We will put it in the Slack. We also we haven't talked about this. There is a reflection journal for each of the guides. So you can also buy this on our website, and it goes along with the content of the high school study, but then has pages for them to journal and some pictures and some prayers and some additional things that you can give them as a gift to help kind of integrate them into the idea of reading, reflecting, and then sharing. So we will also 20%, the discount will apply on the high school studies, the middle school studies, and the 4 high school journals. So check them out on our website and use this as an opportunity to overcome any resistance that you have, because we know that this can be life-changing for the young women in your life, and we want to do anything that we can to encourage you.
It's awesome. And like the belonging, and what Josh was saying about the loneliness and the belonging thing. I mean, it's all, you're planting seeds that there is more out there than what you see in front of you. In the teenage years, the early college years, there's so much that being thrown at you, and to actually like root these girls in the faith is a major, just plant those seeds well is a big deal. And how much I was moved to by the complementarity conversation last hour, how much the more feminine you are, the more masculine someone else. It's just like the complementarity thing is amazing to me. When you actually own your gender, own your body, that allows other people around you to be who they are. So it really matters. All right, I think we did have one question about the discover your dignity. Oh, here, there we go. Some more questions came in. Simone, you're so fast answering. Man.
Sorry, I just wanted
You
to make
mute
sure.
Simone, and she just goes. Okay, one of the questions was about the Discovering Your Dignity study, the woman's journey through life. That is an adult study. You asked the question, can you talk more about it? I've not worked through that study, but I know that I think Annette's group did the Discover Your Dignity, parts 1 and 2.
It is
Don't know if you
definitely, it's definitely geared more towards adult women, and the content is a little bit more, I would say, not as relevant to high school, middle school and high school in a direct way. Of course, it is relevant, but I think it wouldn't necessarily grab their hearts and their imaginations as much as our high school studies. So I would start with the high school study and or the middle school studies. I think those are better options.
Excellent. And then Joan asked about, does each person need a study guide? They do, just like Simone said, the writing thing really matters. I know that sounds maybe like old school paper and pen, but that's what we are at Endow, for paper and pen. But it really matters, like the actual underlining, the actual like annotating of the things. Like it really makes a big impact. And it's read aloud. So you get to actually read aloud and pass around, you know, you're reading and then someone else reads and then you underline. So the methodology of having each person have their own copy, it's almost like an ownership thing. Like you're owning, and then you go home with the material.
Yeah, can I say something about that, Laura, real quick? I know we're running out of time. We're so distracted. I mean, I can barely read a book these days. So to not have it, so to not have it like right in front of you is really tough. We also need our girls to fall in love with books and like love them. And I remember talking to an Endow host in Phoenix who was like, she had this like Endow book like collection in her house, and they were precious. Like to her, it was like her Endow collection, and she was so proud to show them to me. I had been hired, but I hadn't even started with Endow yet, and I was so upset because I wish I knew about Endow when I was in Phoenix teaching high school. I mean, where were all these things? And she was just, for her, they were like the incarnation of the experiences and the transformation and the growth and the memories of all her Endow studies. So I don't want to, it's just another reason why the girls like need to have the book, because they need to remember who they are and what helped them get to who they are.
And what's so beautiful about having an Endow collection of the things that you have studied is that you remember, when I see my Salvavici Dolores, my Christian Meaning of Suffering book, I think back to 2018 and doing that study with my friends and the things we talked about. Like, it's just like the documents come alive because it was with people that you study these things with. I remember all the who had cancer and who had miscarriages and who had, just like, when I see that study guide on my shelf, it brings me back to that group experience, you know.
And
Well,
I do want to address the question about scholarships. We do have we do not want finances to be an impediment to hosting an Endow study group. So we do have scholarships available. And on that note, if you have the opportunity to contribute to our scholarship fund, we would greatly appreciate that, because we price our study guides to try to keep them accessible to most people, but that doesn't cover all of our operating expenses, so we are dependent on our donors. So you can go to our website, and if you have the financial good fortune to purchase a study guide for someone else perhaps who doesn't have the resources, and you can make a donation, and you can specify that you'd like it to be for a scholarship for someone who can't afford a study. So we would greatly appreciate your support in helping us to bring these materials into the hands of anyone who could benefit from them.
Wonderful. All right.
Well, if there are no more questions, well, I'm sure there are more questions, but please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We have a form on our website where you can ask theological questions. You can also reach out to anyone on our team. We really want to encourage and empower you and do whatever we can to help you to exhibit your spiritual motherhood and activate that for the benefit of the teens in your life. So we're really grateful that you joined us. We're thankful for your time. It was wonderful to spend this time together. The conversations were very edifying, as Laura said. And I would just like to close with prayer. And then afterwards, if there are a few last minute questions and you want to stay on, I think the team will hang on for another 5 or 10 minutes so that we can hopefully address any questions that you have. But let's pray together in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, thank you for the tremendous grace of being together this evening. Thank you for being with us, your Spirit being with us and guiding our conversation. Please give us the courage to be the women that our young people need, to be the spiritual mothers, to be the guides, to be the strong voice, showing them the beauty of their feminine vocation and the dignity of their femininity. Help us to reach as many young women with the message of your deep love and care for them. Give us courage and strength and be with us always. We ask for your blessings on ourselves and on our families and all of the young people in our lives as we pray together. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, everyone. If you have last minute questions, we will stay on for another 5 or 10 minutes, and we would be happy to address them. But others who need to go, we just appreciate you being with us today and look forward to hearing about. Please keep in touch with us and let us know if you start a group and how it goes. Posted. God bless you all.